The theme of the anuccheda is same. Bhagavan realization is the highest rung on the ladder of transcendence. That is the same theme. It has been continued. Jiva Goswami is very firmly establishing this Siddhanta by following the Stuna Nikanda Nyaya. In this Anucheda, he is taking 5 shlokas from Kardava Muni's perfection. 3rd canto, 24th chapter, 43rd shloka to 47th shloka. 5 shlokas are taken. And again, he is establishing the same thing. We'll go through that. So you can see 83 number here. Aroha Bhumika Kramenapi Tasyai Vadikyamaha. Aroha Bhumika Kramenapi. Kramena means steps or the gradual. So while describing the different stages of a practitioner's progress towards perfection, Maitreya Rishi proclaims the superiority of Bhagavan over the Brahman. So Maitreya Rishi is going to describe the different stages of perfection attained by Kardama Muni. And then he is going to establish the superiority of Bhagavan over the Brahman. First shloka. Mano Brahma, somebody can repeat after me. Mano Brahmani Yunjano.
Mano Brahmani Yujjano
Yattat Sadasatah Param.
Yattat Sadasatah Param
Gunavabhase Viguna.
Gunabhavase Viguna
Ekabhaktyānubhāvite.
Ekabhaktyānubhāvite.
So Kardama Muni, Manaha Brahmani Yunjano. Kardama Muni fixed his mind on the Brahman. What is the nature of Brahman? Yattat Sad Asata Param, which is beyond cause and effect. Param, which is beyond the guna, which is devoid of which is beyond cause and effect. And Viguna means which is devoid of the 3 gunas. And although it is divided the 3 gunas, Gunava Bhase, yet it illuminates them. Guna Avabhase, it eliminates them. And Ekabhaktyanu Bhavite, important word. And this Brahman realization, this Brahman is realized by Ekabhaktya Anubhavite. Anubhavite means realized or experienced. This Brahman is realized by one-pointed devotion. So, the 3 words are, 3 things are described about the Brahman. Sad Asata Param, beyond cause and effect. Viguna, devoid of the gunas. And third point is Gunavabhase, it illuminates the gunas. So Kardama Muni fixed his mind at that Brahman. And this Brahman is realized by Anubhavite, by one-pointed devotion. And then explanation of the shloka. Eka Bhaktya. What is the meaning of Eka Bhaktya? Avyabhicharinya. Avyabhicharinya sadhana lakshanaya bhaktya. That means undeviated devotional service. Undeviated. Avyabhicharini bhakti. Mamchayo avyabhicharini brahmabhuyaya kalpate sagunan samati. Mamchayo avyabhicharini
Bhakti yogena
bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaitan brahmabhuyaya kalpate. And then anubhavite means what? Anubhavite means nirantaram aparokshi krite. Paroksha means beyond one's perception. So aparoksha is opposite of that. That means direct realization, directly perceiving. And nirantaram word is added. That means constant or incessant direct realization. That is the meaning of anubhavite. Anubhavite means nirantaram aparokshi krite. Tam vina kasyachid चिदप्यर्थस्या सिद्धेः ताम विना कस्यचिद अपि अर्थस्य असिद्धेः. That means what? Tam vina here refers to without that one devoid of that one-pointed devotional service. Without performing devotional service, one cannot attain the goal of any path. Kasyachid api arthasya asiddhehe. Without devotion, nothing of value can be achieved. Even the path of in the karma kanda, jnana kanda, without devotional service, nothing of value can be achieved. So here, this verse clearly shows that Brahman realization can also be achieved. It can also be achieved only by devotional service. Because Eka Bhaktiyanubhavite is very clearly mentioned. Mano Brahmani here, Brahmani refers to this impersonal Brahman only. So here, I'll briefly go through the commentary. So Jiva Goswami is demonstrating the Bhagavan superiority over the Brahman by explaining the various levels of realization of a devotee. So he is going to show in this section that the devotees who follow the path of Jnana Mishra Bhakti, Bhakti mixed with knowledge, they attain Bhagavan realization after Brahman realization. So every devotee who has realized Bhagavan is naturally endowed with the Brahma Jnana. Just like somebody who is having 1,000 rupees, it is understood that he is naturally possessing 1 rupee also. Yeah, but in the case of the pure devotees, they attain Brahman realization without consciously attempting for it by following the rules of Jnana Marga. So when the pure devotees, when they attain Brahman realization, it is momentary. So their Brahman realization is momentary, which is to say that Brahman realization is part of the comprehensive realization of the Bhagavan. It is a comprehensive realization of Bhagavan. Like suppose we are counting, say 500 rupee bundle, 500 rupee bundle, 100, and a bundle of 100 notes are there. So you are counting it. So 500 into 100 is 50,000 rupees will be there. So when you are counting it, 50,000 rupees a person has, that means it naturally is possessing 500 rupees also. But we don't just take out 500 rupees and then keep looking at it for 2 hours. You're just counting one after a 500 rupees. As momentarily, he just like 500 rupees is there momentarily, but then you keep on counting till 100, and then you, okay, understand that there are 100 notes are there. So similarly, a devotee is not striving for Brahman realization, but still he gets Brahman realization momentarily. And that is subsumed within the comprehensive realization of Bhagavan. So because the devotees, they have no particular interest in the Brahman realization, so they don't linger their mind on the Brahman realization. They don't remain stuck in the Brahman realization. They do not linger upon it. It is like another example is given, what is called as Shatapatra Vedana Nyaya. Shatapatra Vedana Nyaya. Like for example, there are 100 lotus petals are there. And you are keeping it together and then you are piercing a needle. So in a moment, the needle comes out of the 100th petal. It is not that after the first petal, after inserting through the first petal, you keep waiting for some seconds, some minutes, and then you pierce the second petal, and then you keep waiting, and then after some time, it comes to the 100th petal. No, it just comes out of the 100th petal immediately. It happens so quickly that it appears to happen simultaneously, although it is going through gradually. Or another example is stapling. Suppose I kept 50 pages. You have gone for a Xerox and 50 Xeroxes you have taken. And the 50 Xeroxes, you are stapling it. When you are stapling it, immediately the stapling pin comes out of immediately all the 50 pages are immediately stapled. But although it is going through gradually, one paper, second paper, third paper, but it happens so quickly. It is not that after inserting through the first paper, it stays for some time and then it takes some time to go to the second paper, third paper, like that. It happens so quickly. Similarly, a devotee, when he is striving for Bhagavan realization, he momentarily attains Brahman realization, and he does not linger upon the Brahman realization. He does not linger upon the Brahman realization. It happens so fast. So, so traversing the different stages of mixed devotional service on the way to complete Bhagavan realization, that is compared to the passing of the staple through a stack of paper, one sheet at a time, or the piercing a needle through the 100 petals. So, when you minutely see, the stapling is happening gradually. The needle is piercing the petals gradually. But when you minutely see, like slow motion, when you take you take a slow motion camera and see that it's going gradually. But in reality, it happens so quickly. So Jiva Goswami is citing this Nyaya to account for the gradual upliftment and to show that since Bhagavan realization happens after the Brahman realization, so the Bhagavan realization is superior to Brahman realization. So this is the first shloka. In this shloka, describes that how Kardamamuni attained Brahman realization. But as we proceed, we will see that how Kardamamuni comes to the level of Bhagavan realization. So because of Bhagavan realization he achieved later, that means Bhagavan realization is superior to Brahman realization. It also shows that Brahman realization, this shloka particularly also shows that Brahman realization cannot be attained without practicing bhakti. That is Import of the word Eka Bhaktyanu Eka Bhaktyanu Bhavite. It cannot be attained without devotional service. This again proves that Bhagavan realization is Bhagavan is superior to Brahman, because bhakti is performed only to the Bhagavan. So the bhakti directed towards the Bhagavan, without that you cannot attain Brahman realization also. So in this way, with two reasons, because the Bhagavan realization happens after Brahman realization, and second is Brahman realization can also be not attained without practicing bhakti. So by these two counts, because of these two reasons, Bhagavan is superior to Brahman. That is established here. So Kardama Muni, after Kapila Dev was born, Kapila Dev ordered Kardama Muni to renounce everything and apply himself for full self-realization. Although Kapila Dev is born as the son of Kardama Muni, Kapila Dev ordered Kardama Muni to renounce and go to the forest. So the Kardama Muni followed the instructions of Kapila Dev. So the 5 verses cited in this anuccheda explains the gradual progress of Kardama Muni, how he attained Vaikuntha, how he attained Bhagavati Gatihi, how he attained the Lord's lotus feet, how he gradually attained. So this particular shloka describes that he first realized the Brahman, which is beyond cause and effect, by practicing Eka one-pointed devotion. So therefore, we see that Tam Vina Kasyachid Apyartha Asya Asiddhehe. Without devotional service, one cannot attain anything meaningful. One cannot attain anything of value. Even Krishna tells to Uddhava in the Uddhava Gita 11.14.22. Dharma Satya Dayopeto Vidyava Tapasanvita Madbhaktya Petam Atmanam Na Samyak Prapunatihi. Religious life consisting of truthfulness and mercy and learning accompanied by truthfulness and mercy and learning accompanied by self-discipline are incapable of completely purifying the being of someone who is bereft of devotion to thee. One may practice different practices on sattva guna, mind control, sense control, tapasya, but without devotional service, they cannot produce a result. Without devotional service, they cannot purify a person. Rupa Goswami also confirms in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Kimtu Jnana Viraktyadi Sadhyam Bhaktiyaiva Siddhyati. The goals of Jnana and Vairagya are perfected only through Bhakti and not otherwise. So therefore, Eka Bhaktyanu Bhavite, Kardama Muni realized Brahman by performing devotional service. But this is only the first step in his realization, and then the next shloka describes how the gradual progress. The next shloka, somebody can repeat after me. Nirahankritir nirmamascha. Can see the shloka?
Yeah.
Nirahankritir nirmamascha.
Nirhankriti nirmamashra.
Nirdvandvas samadrik swadrik.
Nirdvandrak samadrik swadrik.
Pratyak prashant dhir dhira.
Prataksha prashanta dhira dhira.
Prashantormirivodadihi.
प्रशान्ततो मिरियोदधिः
Prabhuji, is it okay to pronounce the first one just by that sandhi? I mean, splitting the word, the whole thing, nirahankar. Just okay.
Yeah. When we pronounce separately, then visarga has to be pronounced completely. Nirahankritir nirmamascha nirdvandvaha. When I pronounce, suppose when I'm telling you to pronounce one word at a time, nirahankriti nirmamascha, and then you repeat. And then nirdvandvaha, I should say. Then you repeat. But if I'm pronouncing continuously, because that visarga is followed by sakara, then the visarga will be pronounced like a sakara only. Suppose when I'm pronouncing continuously, I will pronounce as nirahankritir nirmamascha nirdvandvas samadrik swadrik. I didn't say nirdvandvaha samadrik swadrik. But if I'm pronouncing separately, then you have to pronounce the visarga completely. But when I'm pronouncing continuously without break, because the visarga is followed by sakara, then the visarga is pronounced like sakara. So nirahankriti, being bereft of ego. Nirmamascha, being bereft of possessiveness. Nirdvandvaha, and being devoid of all kind of dualities. Samadrik, being situated in the vision of equanimity. Swadrik, Kardama Muni witnessed his true self. So in the Brahman realization, a person witnesses one's true self. Swadrik. Pratyak Prashanta Dhir, that means being inwardly centered. Dhiraha, Prashantormi Rivodadihi, Prashanta, with his mind stabilized in undisturbed peace. Prashanta. Dhiraha, he became sober. Analogy is given. Urmir iva udadihi, Prashantormi Rivodadihi. Prashantormi Rivodadihi, just like an ocean without the waves. Prashanta Prashantormi Rivodadihi. Yes, the ocean without waves. How the ocean is very calm. Similarly, this person who is Brahman realized, he becomes very calm. He becomes sober. He attains unadulterated peace. That is this verse is describing that stage of Brahman realization. So explanation of that. Nirahang krititvadeva nirmamaha. Because Kardava Muni had become free from the ego, false ego, or he had become free from the misidentification of the self with the body and mind. So Kardama Muni was naturally free from possessiveness. Because of Nirahankriti, because of free from false ego, because of free from false identification, he naturally became free from the false possessiveness also, Nirvama. And then, Tad Dvaya Bhava Deva Mana Adinamapyabhavaha Siddhyati. Tad Dvaya Bhava Deva Mana Adinamapyabhavaha Siddhyati. So when these two patterns are absent, Tad Dvaya Abhava Deva. Tad Dvaya here refers to Ahankara and Mamata. When these two things are absent, Tad Dvaya Bhava Deva Mana Adinamapyabhavaha Siddhyati. Then he no longer possesses the material mind and the senses. Subtle body is removed. Because Kardama Muni was, when these two patterns are absent, Ahankara and Mamata, then even the mind recedes into absence. Manadinamapyabhavaha Siddhyati. Samadrik means what? Beda Grahakaha. That means Veda agrahakaha. Veda agrahakaha. That means non-apprehension of difference. Veda means difference. Agrahakaha. Not perceiving differences. Equal vision. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Asti. Like that. And then the word is Swadruk. Swadruk. Swadruk Twa. Swadruk Twa. What is actually Swadruk Twa? Swarupa Abedena Brahmaiva Pashyan. Swadruktva means Swarupa Abedena Brahma Eva Pashyan. So Swadruk means witnessing the true self. So it here means that Swarupa Abedena, one sees the Brahman as non-different from his essential self. The qualitative of the Brahman, one sees the Brahman as non-different from his Atma. Qualitative oneness point of. And then Pratyak. Pratyak means what? Antarmukhi. Inwardly centered. And then Prashanta. Vikshepa Rahita Dir Jnanam Yasya Saha. Vikshepa Rahita Dir Jnanam. Prashanta Di means one whose intelligence or consciousness is Vikshepa means fluctuation, distraction. Consciousness is free from distraction, free from fluctuations. A quick commentary. So when Kardamani realized the Brahman, which was described in the previous shloka, he became free from ego and the concept of possessiveness, me and mine. That means his subtle body was dissolved. So Ahankara is the knot which binds a living entity to matter. When a person is Brahman realized, he does not identify himself with the body and the things related to the body. And he considers himself one with the Brahman. Swadruk. And he is freed from the duality and becomes equipoised. Samadrik. Nirdvandvaha. So, just as the material ego exists in the conditioned state, real ego, that means real awareness, exists in the post-liberated state. Just as in the conditioned state, one cannot be a doer without the ego of being an agent, karta. Similarly, on the liberated platform, one cannot engage in the service without a suitable self-identity in relation with Bhagavan. So because Kardamani practiced devotion, he did not consider the Brahman as the ultimate goal. He transcended the Brahman realization and he attained the transcendental awareness. And he got a transcendental mind. So at that time, he saw everything. He saw the Lord in everything and everything the Supreme Lord. So, transcendental self-concept and transcendental mind bind a person to the Supreme Lord. And the material ego binds a person to matter. So, impersonalists, they just want to get rid of the ego. And even when we talk about the transcendental ego, and they become afraid, oh, this will also bind me. But they are not aware that the pure awareness is transcendental and it liberates a devotee eternally. And once a person has attained the true awareness, transcendental awareness, he is never bound to the material ego. So Kardamani, in the post-liberated state, he became free from ahankara and mamata. He became free from dualities. he developed a equipoised vision, and he saw the self as non-different from Brahman, and he became completely peaceful, like a ocean without the waves. Further, and then further he says, Tadevam Brahma Jnana Mishra Bhakti Sadhana Vashena Brahmanubhave Jate Api Bhakti Samskara Balena Labda Premades Tad Urdvamapi Shri Bhagavad Anubhavamaha Vasudeve Iti. So Tadevam, in this way, even after Kardama had awakened to the experience of Brahman, Brahma Jnana Mishra Bhakti Sadhana Vashena Brahmanubhave Jatepi, even after attaining Brahman realization, Bhakti Samskara Balena, by the power of or by the influence of devotional service, mixed with the Brahma Jnana Mishra Bhakti Sadhana Vashena, he advanced beyond Brahman realization on the strength of his culture of devotion, Bhakti Samskara Balena. Even though he attained Brahman realization, but by the influence of devotional service mixed with the Jnana, he went beyond Brahman realization. So, Labda Premades Tad Urdvamapi, he attained love for Bhagavan. And Sri Bhagavat Anubhavamaha, yet he attained direct experience of Bhagavan. And this experience of Bhagavan, which he attained after Brahman realization, that is explained in the next shloka. So somebody can repeat. Vasudeve Bhagavati
Vasudeve Bhagavati
Sarvajne Pratyagatmani
Sarvagne Pratyagatmani
Parena Bhakti Bhavena
Parena Bhakti Bhavena
Labdhatma Mukta Bandhanaha.
Labdhatma Mukta Bandhanaha. In that previous shloka, there was this Sat and Tat. What was that meaning of Sat
Cause
and
and
Tat?
effect. Cause and effect.
Cause and effect. Okay.
Beyond cause and effect. Vasudeve Bhagavati Sarvajne Pratyagatmani Parena Bhakti Bhavena Labdhatma Mukta Bandhanaha. With his mind fixed on Bhagavan Vasudeva, who is Sarvajna, the omniscient. Pratyagatmani, who is the Paramatma, who is the immanent self in everyone's heart. Parena Bhakti Bhavena, through supreme devotion. Labda Atma, Kardama attained his true self-identity. Mukta Bandhanaha, becoming free from all material bondage. Explanation of the shloka. Pratyagatmani. Pratyagatmani means what? Sarveshram Ashraya Bhute. Pratyagatmani refers to the Paramatma, who is the shelter of everyone. Parena. Parena means Prema Lakshanena Bhakti Bhavena. Parena Prema Lakshanena Bhakti Bhavena. Tat Satyaiva Tat Satyaiva Labda Atmanas Tadiyatmaka Akankaradayo Yeneti. Akankaradayo Yeneti. So Kardama attained to his true self-identity, Labda Atma. Labda Atmanas. What is the true self-identity? That is, attained to his true self-identity, which is to say that he obtained transcendental self-awareness. Jiver Swarupohi Krishnere Nityadas. He obtained transcendental self-awareness. That means he obtained a transcendental mind and so on. And all of the nature of the pure self, Tadi Atmaka, all these are have the nature of the true self, pure self. Why? Because parena bhakti bhavena. Because of his all-consuming disposition of devotion, bhakti bhavena, which was supreme, parena, means that it was characterized by love for Bhagavan. So by his bhakti characterized by love for Bhagavan, Kardamamuni attained the transcendental pure self-awareness, labdhatma. And then further it is said that Brahma Jnanena Prakrita Ahankaradi Layanantaram Avirbhutan Premanandatmaka Shuddha Sattvamayan Labdavan Ityartaha. So the import is that after his Prakrita Ahankaradi Laya, Laya means destruction. After the destruction of his material ego and material possessiveness, Laya Anantaram, after the material ego and mind were dissolved as a result of Brahmajnanena, he attained this post-liberated counterparts. He attained their post-liberated counterparts, which are of the nature of unalloyed being, Vishuddha Sattva. Premanandatmaka Shuddha Sattva Mayan. So attaining prema for Bhagavan is the post-liberated stage. And this is one in essence and the constitution with the bliss of love. So you see that we have graduation, post-graduation, and then PhD. Then after PhD, there is something called as postdoctoral study. Have you heard of this? Postdoctoral. Postdoc, we say. So the impersonalists, they think that Brahman realization is the highest actually. It is like thinking that PhD is the highest. But many people are not aware there is something called as postdoctoral study also. After PhD, they also do postdoctoral research. Postdoc.
Prabhuji, very less percentage do that, no? I have heard first time.
Yeah, few people do. Postdoctoral research. So bhakti is basically like something like that. Postdoctoral thing. It's a beyond Brahman realization, post-liberated stage. Kardamamuni attained the post-liberated counterparts, which are of the nature of unalloyed being, Vishuddha Sattva, and one in essence and constitution with the bliss of love. And then a question is asked. Nanuta eva pratyavartantam kimva purvadami api bandhahetavo bhavantu? So, somebody is raising a question. What if the material mind, ego, and so on reassert themselves again? Or that if the transcendental self-awareness and the transcendental mind, will they also result in bondage? Bandha hetavo bhavantu. Just like their material mind and material ego, it actually puts a person in bondage. Will this transcendental self-awareness and the transcendental mind, will it also result in bondage? Like that one may raise a question. Therefore, the verse clearly says that Mukta Bandhanaha. The verse is saying that Na Ityaha. No, it will not happen. Because Mukta Bandhanaha word is used. He is liberated from the bondage. And then he quotes the last shloka of the Vedanta Sutra. Anavritti Shabdat iti Nyayat. This is not the case because it is said that the transcendental self-identity emerges in the state of freedom from all bondage. And this is stated in the Brahma Sutra. That means the Vedanta Sutra ends with this aphorism. Anavritti Shabdat. 2 times it is mentioned. The scripture declares that a liberated being never returns to the material consciousness. Whether somebody attains Sayujya Mukti or Sarupya or Salokya, Samipya, Sarshti, any of these 5 muktis, one does not return to material bondage. The short commentary. So in the Bhagavatam verse which is quoted, the word Labdatma is significant. It means that a practicing devotee attains perfection, he becomes detached from the material ego, but he attains a spiritual ego. That means he attains a transcendental self-identity in relation to Bhagavan. So a devotee engages in the service of the Lord through this pure ego, through this pure mind, pure intelligence, which is made of Shuddha Sattva. And then, being established in the truth, one never becomes influenced by the material ego. So the Anavritti Shabdat is quoted, which confirms that once a person has attained the pure transcendental self-awareness, a person does not return to material consciousness. And the next, and then he says that Bhakti Atishayena Labdatmattvameva Pratipadayati Atmanamiti. In the previous verse, Labdatma was used. That means Kardama Muni attained his true self-identity through profuse love. Bhakti Atishayena Parena Bhakti Bhavena. By profuse love, he attained the stage of Labdatma. So, what is this Labdatma? What is the transcendental self-awareness which he attained in the post-liberated condition? That is explained in the next shloka. Somebody can repeat after me. Atmanam sarvabhuteshu
आत्मानं सर्वभूतेषु
bhagavantam avasthitam
भगवन्तम् अवस्थितम्
apashyat sarvabhutani
अपश्यत् सर्वभूतानि
bhagavatyapi chatmani.
भगवत्यपि चात्मनि.
So, what is that transcendental self-awareness which Kardama Muni attained? That is explained here. He realized that Bhagavan is situated as the self in all beings, and that all beings exist in the self, that is Bhagavan. Similar to the Gita shloka, Yomam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha mayi pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami sachave pranashyati. Or the Uttamadhikari which is described in the Bhagavatam, Sarva Bhuteshu Yaha Pashyed Bhavam Avyayam Atmanaha. One sees Bhagavan situated in all living entities, and one sees how all living entities are situated in the Bhagavan. This is the transcendental self-awareness. So, Atma Atra Paramatma Sarvata Tasya Bhagavaneva Spuraditi Vakyartaha. This word, the word Atma refers to the Supreme Self, Paramatma. That means it was specifically, the meaning of this verse is that it was specifically Bhagavan who appeared to Kardama everywhere. This is also a...
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes.
Can I ask a question, Prabhu?
Yes.
Prabhuji, this definition also goes for the Uttamadhikari, right? The
Yes.
one who sees Krishna everywhere and everything in Krishna. So also goes for the Uttamadhikari. I think it comes in the somewhere in the 11th canto, somewhere 7th canto or somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing. Same concept is described to describe the Uttamadhikari. Sarva Bhuteshu Yaha Pashyed Bhavam Avyayam Atmanaha. You see the shloka. सर्वभूतेषु यः पश्येत् भावम् अव्ययमात्मनः भगवद्भावमात्मनः भूतानि भगवत्यात्मन् एष भागवतोत्तमः. भागवत उत्तम is described. सर्वभूतेषु यः पश्येत् भगवद्भावमात्मनः भूतानि भगवत्यात्मन्. The most advanced devotee sees within everything the soul of also the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Consequently, sees systematically everything in relation to the Supreme Lord. And understand that everything that exists is eternally situated within the Lord. And same thing is also described in Chaitanya Charitamrita, very famous shloka in the Ramananda Samvad. Probably it is quoted in the purport also. That Sarvatra Ishtadeva Spurti. That shloka. This shloka. Stavara Jangama Deke Nadeki Stara Murti Sarvatra Haya Nija Ishtadeva Spurti. Mahabhagavata certainly sees everything mobile and immobile, but he does not exactly see their forms. Rather, everywhere he immediately sees manifest the form of the Supreme Lord. He sees his Ishtadeva in relation to everything. He sees the Ishtadeva everywhere. Exactly the same. Bhagavata Uttama, Uttamadhikari Bhakta. Same thing is also explained. Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochaneda. That also describes the same concept. So that means Kardava Muni saw his Bhagavan everywhere. And then last part of the anuccheda, maybe just another 10 minutes will end because we will complete this. Tataha sakshadeva tat prapti maha ichadvesha iti. So the last verse of this anuccheda, the 5 verses are quoted, 4 verses we have seen. The last verse of this series, Maitreya Muni explains that Kardava's direct attainment of the Lord. So you can repeat after me. Ichha dvesha vihinena
इच्छाद्वेषविहीनेन
sarvatra samachetasa
सर्वत्र समच्चेतसा
bhagavat bhakti yuktena
भगवद्भक्तियुक्तेन
prapta bhagavati gatihi.
प्राप्ता भागवती गतिः.
Ichha dvesha vihinena, devoid of all hatred and desire, and being situated in the vision of equanimity towards all beings, samachetasa. Bhagavati gatihi prapta. Kardava Muni attained the abode of the Lord. Bhagavad bhakti yuktena, through devotional service to Bhagavan. So tadevam tena bhagavati gatihi prapta. So Kardava Muni attained the abode of the Lord. Bhagavati gatihi. Heyatvad anyatra ichadvesha vihinena tasmadeva hetoho sarvatra samachetasa. Heyatvad, because he considered everything else as worthy only of indifference. Heyatvad anyatra, because he considered everything apart from Bhagavan to be, he saw everything with a vision of indifference. So therefore, Ichha Dvesha Vihinena, he was free from Ichha and Dvesha. And therefore, Tasmadeva hetoho sarvatra samatayasa. Therefore, he was situated in the vision of equanimity. And the same vision of equanimity is described in the another famous verse of the Bhagavatam. Narayana parasarve nakutaschana bibhyati tvarga pavarga narakeshu apitulyartha darshanah. The devotees who are dedicated to Narayana do not fear anything at all. Na kutaschana bibhyati. And they regard all circumstances as equal. Heaven and hell, whether it is heaven or hell, they see everything as equal. Yadva. So this is basically this verse is quoted to explain samachetasa. Narayana Parasarva is quoted to explain samachetasa. And then another meaning of samachetasa, very interesting meaning. Yadva means alternative meaning. Whenever the va word comes, that means alternative meaning. Another meaning of samachetasa is quoted by Shankaracharya's commentary on Vishnu Sahasranama. Maya Lakshmya Saha Vartate iti Samaha iti Sahasranama Bhashyat Bhagavat Chetasa iti. So Sama means what? The word Ma refers to Lakshmi. Sa, the letter Sa refers to along with. So Sama Chetasa means Maya Lakshmiya Saha Vartate iti Samaha. Seeing the Lord along with Lakshmi. That means of the Lord is always with Lakshmi. So therefore, Vishnu is called as Sama. Vishnu is called as Sama because he is always with Lakshmi. So Sama Chetasa means being absorbed in Lakshmi Narayana. How the Narayana is always with Lakshmi, being absorbed in the thought. Sama Chetasa. And then further he explains. Prapto Bhagavatim Gatim iti Pate Sa Kardama eva Tam Gatim Praptaha. So, Prapto Bhagavatim Gatim iti Pate Sa Kardama eva Tam Gatim Praptaha. If one follows there is alternative reading of this Bhagavatam shloka. Instead of Prapta Bhagavati Gatihi, there is alternative reading Prapto Bhagavatim Gatim. If we take this alternative reading of the shloka, then the meaning would be Kardama attained that destination. Prapto Bhagavatim Gatim. He attained that destination. So in that case, the phrase Atra Bhagavad Bhakti Yogena Ityeva Visheshyamiti. In that case, the phrase Bhagavad Bhakti Yogena by the yoga of devotional service to the Lord would then be the qualified Visheshya in turn by another adverbial phrase, Samachetasa. So he's just giving there's another variant reading of the shloka, Prapto Bhagavatim Gatim. In essence, the meaning does not change. In this case, the Bhagavad Bhakti Yone, that becomes the Visheshya instead of Visheshana. And then he quotes the Gita shlokas, 18th chapter, 51 to 55. Why these 5 verses are quoted, 51 to 55? So these 5 shlokas about Kardama Muni's gradual attainment from a Brahman realization to finally attain Bhagavan realization. Similar to these 5 shlokas, the same steps are explained by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita 18.51 to 55. Therefore, those verses are quoted. So I'll read the shlokas. Buddhya vishuddhaya yukto dhrityatmanam niyamya cha shabdadin vishayam styaktva ragadvesho vyudasya cha vivikta sevi lagvashi yatava kaya manasah dhyana yoga paro nityam vairagyam samupashritah. Akankaram balam darpam kamam krodam parigraham vimuchya nirmamashanto brahma bhuyaya kalpate brahma bhuta prasannatma na shochati na kankshati samasarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim labate param bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yaschasmi tatvatah tato mam tatvato jnatva vishate tadanantaram. So you can read the translation. So from here you can read endowed with
Endowed with pure intellect, controlling the mind with fortitude, forsaking sense objects such as pleasing sound, giving up attachment and hatred completely, living in a solitary place, and eating little, controlling the body, speech, and mind, being ever devoted to the yoga of meditation on the Lord, fully taking refuge in dispassion, giving up egotism, the force of material desires, arrogance, desire for sense pleasure, anger, and possessions, and being free from the notion of ownership and serene at heart, one becomes qualified to realize Brahman. Having realized Brahman and being peaceful, one neither grieves nor hankers for anything. Being equal to all beings, one attains supreme devotion to me. Through that supreme devotion, one fully realizes me in truth, what and who I am. Then, after knowing me in reality, one enters into me, achieves Sayujya liberation. Gita 15.51 to 55.
So a similar progression is described in the Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, these 5 verses are quoted. And then he concludes, Atra Vishati, the last shloka, Tato mam tatvato jnatva vishate tadanantaram. So usually people say Vishati here means that one merges into the Brahman, one becomes one with the Brahman. That is how the impersonalists comment. So here Vishati means what? Vishatir milanartaha. Milanartaha means he joins. Yata Duryodanam parityajya yudhishtiram pravishtavan ayam raja iti. In the Mahabharata battle, there is a statement. This king, after giving up Duryodhana, he has joined Yudhishthir's party. So in that sense, the meaning of the word Vishati is there. Not that he has become one with the Yudhishthir. He has joined Yudhishthir's party. A similar meaning also comes in another place, in the Dashama Skanda, 10.28.15 to 17. When the Krishna gave the vision of Vaikuntha to the Vrajavasis, in the Akrura Ghata, if you know that Akrura Ghata, Krishna told them to enter the Yamuna. Shri Gopair Brahma Sampatyanantarameva Vaikunto Drishta iti Shri Swami Bireva cha Vyakyatam. Sridhar Swami has explained that the cowherd men saw Vaikunta only after gaining a vision of the Brahman effulgence. Only after gaining a vision of the Brahman effulgence. So therefore we see that Bhakti is a post-liberated condition of the Brahman realization. That is proven in this Kardava Muni's gradual progress. Bhagavad Gita also. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma Nashochati Nakankshati Samas Sarveshu Bhuteshu Madbhaktim Labate Param. Then a person comes to Brahma. attains bhakti to Bhagavan. And this also is quoted. Just quickly go through the commentary. So the final realization of Kardama is that of Bhagavan, which is superior to the earlier two realizations. So Kardama is called Samachetasa. It means we are situated in the vision of equanimity. So Samachetasa is similar to the word which came previously, Samadrik. But still there is a difference between Samadrik and Samachetasa. So Samadrik is a state in the Brahman realization. Samachetasa is a state which describes the Bhagavan realization. The Samadrik means the Samadrik state, the Brahman realized state, one experiences Brahman without a second. But in the distinctive liberated state, made accessible specifically through devotion, one perceives the Lord everywhere while still maintaining his own identity. Therefore, Jiva Goswami interprets the word Samachetasa as Bhagavat Chetasa, that whose consciousness is established in God. The consciousness is established in God. So, Sa also means along with, and Ma means Lakshmi. Samachetasa means that Sama refers to Vishnu, who is along with Lakshmi. So in this verse, Bhagavad Bhakti Yoga is the qualified subject. Bhagavad Bhakti Yogena. Icha Dvesha Vihinena and Samachetasa are the modifiers. So Bhagavad Bhakti Yoga is the qualified subject. Icha Dvesha Vihinena and Samachetasa are the qualifiers. That means adjectives, Visheshana. So a transcendentalist, because of direct apprehension of and absorption in a more profound reality, does not desire anything material. That means he does not hate, and also he does not hate anything material. Is beyond both hatred and also attachment. Therefore, Icha Dvesha Vihinena. Some neophytes think that by aversion to material objects, they can progress in spiritual life. But hatred is nothing but the another side of attachment. One should be free from both hatred and attachment. So Lord Shiva, Narayana Parasarva is quoted. Now, Lord Shiva also said that those who are surrendered to Narayana, how they are situated in the vision of equanimity. So, and then the Bhagavad Gita shlokas are described, 18.51 to 55. So these verses describe how a Jnana Mishra Bhakta attains perfection. So of the 5 verses, the first 3 explain how he attains Brahman realization, 18.51 to 53. And the last 2 explain his experience of Bhagavan. That Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na shoshati na kankshati tamas sarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim lavate param. And then Bhaktyamam abhijanati yavan yaschasmi tatvatha. So, and then the Vishate, the word Vishate, the last shloka means enters. So, Advaitavadis interpret in an impersonalistic way. But devotee, because a devotee never loses his identity as a servant of the Lord, that meaning is inappropriate. Vishate, if Vishate were to mean merging in the Brahman, which is the prior state of attainment referred to in the first group of verses, then the words Tad Anantaram would become meaningless. If the Vishate means merging into the Brahman, then you cannot say Tad Anantaram after that, because if you see in the Tad Anantaram came, Vishate Tad Anantaram, Bhaktyamam Abhijanati Yavan Yachasmi Tatvatah Tatomam Tatvate Gyatmam Vishate Tad Anantaram, thereafter. So the prior verse said that this devotee is Brahma Bhuta, that means he attained Brahman. And then the use of the word thereafter implies that awakening to a yet more comprehensive reality. So therefore, Jiva Goswami explains Vishate as joins and not merging. And he is giving an example to show that this use of the word Vishate is not unusual, because he refers to the word Pravishtavan, which comes from the same root as used in the Mahabharata. Duryodhanam Parityajya Yudhishtiram Pravishtavan. After leaving the Duryodhan's party, this king joined the Yudhishthir's party. So he is not that he became merged with the Yudhishthir. He joined his party while retaining his identity. So at that time, when King Yudhishthir told that anybody can switch over to the other party, that time a certain king gave up his affiliation to Duryodhan and joined the Pandavas. Therefore, when Krishna says Vishate, it does not mean that the yogi merges into Brahman, but simply he joins the Lord in Vaikuntha. And then further, to substantiate the conclusion, Jiva Goswami is also referring to the Krishna revealing the Vaikuntha to the Vrajavasis in the Yamuna. So once Nanda Maharaj was arrested by the servants of Varuna, and he was taken to Varuna Loka. So when Krishna came to rescue Nanda Maharaj, so Varuna offered Krishna a grand welcome and worshipped him. So Nanda Maharaj became astonished to see that how Krishna was worshipped by Varuna. So then when Nanda Maharaj returned to Vrindavan, he narrated everything to the Vrajavasis. So the cowherdmen could understand that Krishna is Bhagavan. So then they became eager to see the Bhagavan's abode, Vaikuntha. So they requested Krishna to show it to them. So at that time, Krishna took the Vrajavasis to that Yamuna in the Akrura Ghat. It is called as Brahma Hrada. And then he told all of them to take a dip. So when they took a dip, the cowherdmen, they first saw the Brahman effulgence. And then they saw the Vaikuntha. That means that Brahman effulgence, Brahman realization is the stage prior to Vaikuntha realization. So therefore this verse is quoted. 10.28.15 to 16. And Sridhar Swami also confirms in his Bhavartha Deepika commentary. So the next anuccheda, Jiva Goswami will give further proof that bhakti includes and therefore transcends the Jnana Marga. So with this we'll end here. Anybody has any questions? Went beyond time, but I wanted to complete this anuccheda. So you can go through these 5 verses, 3.24.43 to 47.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I have a question regarding the equanimity which Kardama Muni attained. So, many times as a sadhaka, sometimes when our near and dear ones are, or there is some emergency, or they are in hospital, at that time, one rushes there and one doesn't think of, or he becomes averse to the heat and cold. And also sometimes he never eats also for 12 to 15 hours. So there he becomes somewhat equipoised, matlab, nothing, he gets never affected by heat and cold. So this thing comes by doing bhakti, the hearts get purified, or we have to practice that equanimity as it is told by Krishna in 12th chapter, that one should be equipoised in heat and cold, happiness and distress, success or failure. And also the jnanis, they also become equipoised. So, but they are not like Nara and Parasarve bhaktas, right? So their equanimity is different from them. So how is it different? Or you can answer this in next class also if the time is more. There.
Yeah, even without bhakti also, sometimes when a person has aspiring for an intense goal, because somebody is intensely absorbed in a chess match, he may also transcend the hunger and thirst because of being intensely absorbed in chess match. When sitting in the chessboard for 4 hours, 5 hours, chess match is going on. Or even the athletes, sports people, every time they also transcend hunger and thirst because of being fixed in a particular goal. But the equanimity, just spoken in the Gita, seeing with the equal vision, seeing everyone as an Atma, different from the body. The same Atma is present everywhere. And then for a devotee, he also sees every living entity as a Atma, as a part of Bhagavan, the eternal servant of Bhagavan. And he sees the equanimity from the point of view of service to Krishna. If the stone can be used in the service of Krishna, he will see the stone as if it is gold. But if a gold is distracting him from the service to Krishna, he will see the gold as if it is a stone. That means he sees the stone or a gold from the point of view of which is favorable for the service to Krishna. From that point of view, he sees the equanimity. From the point of view of service to Krishna. A sportsman may develop apparently, may transcend hunger and thirst from the point of view of achieving the particular gold medal in the sports.
என்ன பார்க்காதுப்பா
So like that.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, thank you. Now it is clear. Okay, yes, nice examples. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. So we end here.